Alright everyone, so out of the 240 plus raid videos I have on the channel, I think maybe only 5 to 10 of them at the most have I ever uploaded at a weird time like I am right now. And I wanted to do it this way because this video is going to be a bit different than the others, and I wanted to tell you guys this information here at the start. If you're not interested, I completely understand. That's why I wanted to be transparent and tell you guys this video is really going to be mostly my personal opinion. It's also going to be more negative in nature, so, if this is not for you in any way, shape, or form, I 100% understand. Now, with that being said, what I wanted to focus in on today is tournaments in Raid Shadow Legends. I wanted to specifically talk about the recent tournament that was added to the game and what has really been sparking this discussion, not only among myself, but a lot of other content creators. But I also wanted to tell you guys some pretty interesting information, shady info, I guess is the best way to say it. Some hidden stuff about tournaments that maybe you didn't know that will also probably change your perspective on just tournaments in Raid Shadow Legends in general. So let's go ahead and open up the actual tournament screen here so we could see what we are looking at, because we do have a Dragon tournament that is active in Raid. Now, just from this screen right here, you still cannot tell that this is different than a regular Dragon tournament. It just says Dragon tournament here, ends in 3 days, 11 hours. Nothing really too special yet. But when you actually click on this tournament page, now there is something that stands out. It's not very big, it's not incredibly noticeable, but it's this yellow text right here that says only using rare champions. So this is indeed the first specialized tournament that they have added to the game where you have to meet a certain condition in order to actually get points in the tournament. And very importantly, you have to understand how this works. You don't get any kind of bonus for using rare champions. If you have even one champion in your team that is not a rare, that completely disqualifies you from earning points in this tournament. So, 4 rares in an epic, a dragon run will give you 0 points. 4 rares in a legendary, a dragon run will give you 0 points. You have to have only rares. And I think it's especially noteworthy how small this text is here. Very easy to accidentally miss out on this. I'm sure there are plenty of people participating who don't even know that, who are actually grinding Dragon right now thinking that they are getting tournament points, not realizing that they aren't because their team is not full rares. And absolutely nothing about this here on the regular page as well. It just says regular Dragon tournament, especially considering Dragon tournaments have been around for so long. There's a ton of people who don't go through and read patch notes word for word. They just think, hey, it's another Dragon tournament. They might look at the actual tournament screen here, but people have a general idea of how tournaments work now. So they're probably not going to click on this and look word for word for a small little text here, seeing that it says using only rare champions. Now, let's also talk about some other things about this tournament, because unfortunately, the list of things that are not so great goes on for a little while here. Now, the rewards. So you could see the rewards. Now, if this was a regular tournament that didn't have special conditions, they would actually be, they'd be decent. They're not absolutely extraordinary by any means, but they're decent. They're absolutely, though, not insane given the special condition that this tournament actually has. And, a lot of people who play the game, it's not like everybody is a YouTuber who's out there making videos with spotlights for rare champions and is building up full teams full of rares in order to participate in tournaments. So, having a full team of rares to be able to farm the Dragon, I would take a guess that most people are not going to be even close to being able to run Dragon 20 with full rares. Like, the average player is probably, first of all, the average player probably can't even do regular Dragon 20, but, you're going to be looking at farming stages that are just absolutely not going to be worth it. Now, there's some other things as well here. Let's take a look at the actual point requirements and the time. So we've got 3 days and 11 hours, 3,750 points. If you actually go to the info here, you can see how many points you're going to get per run. Now, even if you were farming Dragon 20 with a full team of rares, and there are very, very few people who are really going to be at that point, it's going to take you an insane amount of runs over the next 3 days in order to get the points to complete this tournament. You also have to keep in mind that a lot of people who are going to be farming Dragon 20 with rares, those runs are going to take quite a bit longer than the runs that people are probably used to with certain legendaries. It's not going to be really possible to do those 1-2-ish minute runs. They're probably going to be looking at 3 to 5 to 7 minutes for a lot of people. And that is specifically if you are farming Dragon 20. Now, most people probably aren't, which means they have to take a big downgrade, farm an earlier stage, get worse gear, get worse artifacts, kind of, waste that sense of getting efficiency for their energy, which means they're also probably not going to be getting those 15 to 20 or so tournament points per win. You're probably, once you throw in 4-star artifacts here, you're looking at, depending on whether it's a rare, epic, or legendary, probably mostly rares and some epics here. Combination of, 4-star and 5-star. You're looking at 8, 16, maybe 10 points or so average per run. Now, if that run is taking you 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes, you're looking at almost 400 runs in order to get all these rewards. It does not feel like this tournament was really thought out very well. And that's the next thing, is this is just basically, it's just a regular old tournament that we have, except they made one small change. They have very similar rewards, the same structure of regular tournaments, but now it's just much, much more difficult and completely unachievable for most people who play the game. Tournaments it feels very strange because tournaments are already competitive by nature. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me to exclude people from participating completely, because you're already going to be competing anyway. So why not let everybody participate? And obviously the people who are most competitive are going to get to the top of the leaderboards, but at least everybody will be able to participate. Now you kind of have that double competitive barrier where not only is there going to be competition among the actual tournament itself, but now you're also quite simply excluding a lot of people from even being able to participate to begin with. So, it obviously leaves a very, very sour taste in the mouth because of that. So I wanted to, and of course, this video is by all means, it's not a Dragon Champions getting into why that game is super great or anything like that, because obviously Dragon Champions has a ton of flaws as well. But I wanted to just give you guys a comparison here of a tournament system that feels like it was much more thought out than what they kind of threw together over the last few days with these certain restrictions in raid tournaments. Now, in Dragon Champions, so I think I started to mix together tournaments and champions, which is why I started to get chantiments there for a second. I don't know, that was pretty weird. I needed a second to recover from that. Anyway, I'm not even going to open up the game. I just want to show you guys some images here to kind of demonstrate my point. But I think in Dragon Champions, the tournament system that they have, they actually achieved what Raid Shadow Legends was trying to do by add restrictions, but also not completely shutting everybody out of even being able to participate, and also allowing a good amount of creativity and freedom in your team compositions as well. So here's just the main tournament screen. And Dragon Champions, they actually have even more tournaments in Raid. Every day, usually there are 1 to 2 tournaments that start up. And when you get into the actual tournament menu here, you'll see that there are those restrictions, but there's still a lot of freedom that you can have with the customization and your team. You can still use some of those really good units that you've been working very hard for to progress in the actual tournaments. And, people play the game in order to progress and in order to get those really good units and in order to use them. So you have to be really careful when it comes to, these kinds of tournaments as well, is people work really hard to get those epics and legendaries, use skill tomes on them, gear them out, and then forcing people to use rares, it just kind of, again, it's one of those things that I can see why for a lot of people it does leave a pretty sour taste in the mouth. Anyway, I think that's enough about the current Dragon Tournament that we have going on right now. I've said my opinions. I know I'm not alone. Plenty of other Raid YouTube channels have also stated their opinions. It feels like the vast majority of not only content creators, but players kind of feel the same way about this. And, it's unfortunate. I feel like with Plarium, a lot of the times it really is 1 step forward, 2 steps back. They do get some things right, but they definitely sure do seem to get a lot of things wrong. And I hope in the future they kind of address the way that this tournament went and hopefully kind of change things in the way that they work. I really hope in the future, my goal is they can keep these kinds of tournaments, but change it to where the conditions give you a bonus instead of being completely exclusive. I think that while that might not solve all the problems with the current tournament, I think it would solve a lot of the really big ones. That way, people can still participate and get points, but if you use the restrictions that the tournament is built around, you'll get bonus points and even more points, more rewards, and you'll be more competitive. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, a lot of this has been my personal opinion and unfortunately more negative in nature, which is why I wanted to end off, telling you guys some information about tournaments that it's not necessarily good information by any means, but you might be able to get some use out of this with the new tournaments that we have going on right now. And that's just the way that tournaments work in Raid Shadow Legends. Now, people have been playing the game for a really long time, might already know this or have kind of figured it out. But if you're wondering kind of like what determines the people and the brackets that you are in tournaments. Now, you might think originally it's 100% random, but that is absolutely not true. So, Plarium being Plarium, they are quite smart. And the way that it actually determines who's going to be in your brackets is basically where you place in other tournaments. So, of course, it makes the most sense that if you place really highly in tournaments, what Plarium is going to do is now for future tournaments, they are going to place you in brackets with other people who also placed really highly. That way you have a full tournament bracket with people who placed really highly in other brackets, are very competitive, and now you quite literally have whale wars where the whales are competing against each other in a tournament bracket full of only whales in order to get those top places. And of course, the less competitive people can actually compete against the other less competitive people. So what this whole thing means is if you don't participate in this tournament, and I'm not going to, I don't think so anyway, I don't think I'm going to have the time to, even if I wanted to, which I don't. But if you don't participate in those tournaments, you're not going to have a very high placement on the leaderboards. And what that means is that for future tournaments, ones that you actually will be able to participate in, that should hopefully mean that you won't be placed in difficult brackets. You'll actually kind of allow your bracket placements to reset a little bit and be put in, easier tournaments to compete in that are, actually tournaments that you probably will want to participate in that don't have these crazy, ridiculous restrictions. So I'll end off here with a little note about Dragon Champions. This is not sponsored, by the way. I didn't get paid to say this. It's an affiliate, which means I only get anything in return if people actually decide to use the link. But if you guys are interested, and if you're looking for a secondary game out there and you are interested in Dragon Champions, I will leave a link in the description and in the comments. And of course, very importantly, when you download the game, make sure that you guys use the promo code SALTGIFT before you get to level 15, or you'll miss out on a bunch of free stuff. So when you actually get into the game, all you do is go up to that cogwheel in the upper right, go over to the use promo code, and just type in SALTGIFT right there. So a big thank you to those of you guys who are interested in the game, who have either already decided to try it or are thinking about trying it. Those of you who use the code, and of course, make sure once you get to level 20 to request to join the Salty Guild, because we have been taking over. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching the bonus video. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and if you did and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to leave a quick like as well. It means more than you can imagine, and more videos should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check them out, but if not, until next time, take care everyone, and this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.